One of the most often asked questions regarding Jesus is, did he know who he was? Was he aware that he was the Messiah? Or beyond that, did Jesus know that he was God? Exactly who did Jesus think he was? Was he acting out of an identity of his own choosing? Did Jesus have a conscious agenda of his own? Did his self-understanding define his mission? What exactly did Jesus know about himself? Many Western people, Christians and non-Christians, spend great amounts of time pondering and grappling with these questions. Scholars and theologians have fiercely debated them for almost 200 years. But what if the question, did Jesus know who he was, is completely inappropriate? What if asking this question predetermines a range of answers that are inevitably ethnocentric to our postmodern Western world and therefore utterly alien to the social world of Jesus? When biblical scholar Raymond Brown got asked, what did Jesus think of himself? He admitted to attempt to force people to rephrase their question because he said, the way it has been asked, like did Jesus know he was God, makes an intelligible answer almost impossible. Brown explained that to ask Jesus, a Galilean from the first third of the first century Common Era, do you know that you're God, Jesus? Would make no sense to him because of the language limitations of the time. God is on the sky vault. Jesus, the Galilean peasant, is on the earth. But Raymond Brown did admit that by being who he was, Jesus knew who he was. But what does it mean to be Jesus as he was? What almost everyone discussing Jesus' self-understanding fails to recognize is that the concept of the self is a cultural construct widely different from one society to the next. For Americans, it is almost impossible to conceive what social scientists have convincingly demonstrated, that not everyone on Earth shares our Western psychological understanding of what it means to be a human self. According to social scientists, societies exist along a continuum in regard to views of the self. At one end, some societies, like that of the United States, understand persons individualistically. According to these societies, the individual is seen as a bounded and unique center of consciousness, a more or less integrated cognitive and motivational universe. People understand persons in such Western societies according to the psychological makeup of the individual. Each person is not only a biological entity, but an irreducibly unique psychological being as well. You can see this perspective always celebrated, yet wrongly applied to Jesus and other New Testament personalities, on seemingly infinite display in various Christian ministries. On the other hand, different societies view the self as fundamentally collective. Persons in these societies are so embedded into groups that the group and the individual are in large measure coextensive, both psychologically and in every other way. Americans and most other Western societies stand at the individualist end of this spectrum. Mediterranean persons like Jesus and Paul, however, are located primarily at the collectivist end. The difference between Westerners and Mediterranean persons is thus rather substantial. You know, to ask questions is vitally important for growth, but the answers we arrive at are often determined by the questions we ask. Worse, ethnocentric distortion frequently results from questions rooted in ethnocentric bias. In several video presentations, Bible Alive will explore some rather shocking facts about Jesus, the ancient Mediterranean collectivistic personality, and how he came to know who he was.